It seems like every 4 to 5 months, NBA Hall of Famer Isiah Thomas randomly comes out of the woodwork with the same old attacks on Michael Jordan as well as the Bulls. And look, nearly 4 years removed from The Last Dance, the documentary that reignited all these old feelings and old rivalries, Michael Jordan still has remained completely silent, where someone like Isiah Thomas, even Scottie Pippen, have been talking non-stop. And at this point, I'm convinced Isiah Thomas, on at least one TV in his house, has that Last Dance documentary running on repeat 24/7, 365. And it's actually pretty impressive how someone who's almost 65 years old can hold a grudge for this long. And Isiah is so stuck in his ways, has so much hatred for the Bulls, Pippen, and Jordan, I wouldn't be surprised if under the table he was paying Larsa Pippen to date MJ's son. He's that bitter, he's that hateful, that he might just go that far. Now, looking at Isiah's newest attacks on Jordan, it's kind of the same old thing. But in this newest line of attack, he's kind of rewriting history that the Bulls and Jordan, they were the only team in the NBA that hated the Pistons and how they played. But as you guys know, back in the late 80s, the entire NBA, virtually every fan, hated the Pistons and the way they played.
Y'all want him to win? Y'all changed all the rules so he can win. These are the facts. I go down the lane, I get my ass beat. You see pictures of Michael Cooper scratching Larry Bird's jersey off, right? You see Kevin McHale slamming Kurt Rambis to the floor. You see Dr. J, fine on Bird, right? Everybody getting hit. Oh, but he can't get hit? So we're gonna change all the rules so he can dunk, because they marketing the dunk.
So stopping that clip right there, once again, it's total revisionist history on Isiah Thomas' part, trying to clean things up, make things look like Jordan was the only guy who hated the Pistons. And I'm sure, as you guys know, someone like Larry Bird, even until this day, can't stand Bill Laimbeer. Even Magic Johnson, him and Isiah's relationship in the 2000s, 2010s, it was pretty rocky. And after their second meeting in the finals, Magic's on record saying their relationship past that moment was never the same. Again, it wasn't just MJ and the Bulls who hated the bad boy Pistons. It was quite literally everyone. And the worst thing I saw in that clip was Isiah making really a big excuse, trying to put a big asterisk on Jordan and his championships, as the one thing he goes to is the rule changes. Now, I went back and looked at the rule changes. The only major tweak I saw was the flagrant foul rule. And the year that rule was implemented was 1990-1991. Now, of course, that year for the Bulls, they won their first championship. But is it that black and white that the flagrant foul rule led to Jordan and the Bulls finally winning a championship? I don't think so. Because by 1991, the Bulls, they were battle-tested, they were younger, they were hungrier, and the Pistons very obviously had 3 straight finals, were looking for a three-peat, something that hadn't been done since Bill Russell's Celtics. 1991, for that season, all the stars aligned for Jordan and the Bulls to finally take over. I don't think the flagrant foul rule was the definitive thing that pushed them over the edge. And in a weird roundabout way, Isiah Thomas, he's kind of downplaying his own teams and how good they were on defense. Yes, they did foul hard, they took cheap shots, but their actual defensive play, when they were playing straight up, zone, man-to-man, it was some of the best defense of all time. And saying the bad boy Pistons were just purely dirty players, look, they were dirty, but they played really good defense. And saying the flagrant foul rule just took Detroit out, it downplays Dumars, John Sally, Dennis Rodman, Mark Aguirre, Vinnie Johnson, and that whole host of players. Now, looking at our second Isiah Thomas clip, he once again is back with the same nonsense, half-truths, and revisionist history.
Let me clarify this for the youngsters on the panel. Yeah, Jordan was a great player in the 80s, but they were finishing third and fourth in the division.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Okay, so I know all y'all watching want to say, oh, Jordan was he was great in the 90s.
Yes.
He dominated in the 90s.
Yes.
But in the 80s, he was out in the first round.
So if you let Isiah Thomas tell NBA history, it's pretty cookie cutter, clean, this happened, that happened, and it's all just kind of in a line, black and white, no gray. And that's the problem with NBA debates, a lot of NBA fans, things aren't always that simple. As when it comes to Jordan and the Bulls in the 1980s, yes, they didn't win championships, but they weren't always a first-round exit and a bottom-feeding team. And to add some context, the Bulls team Jordan came to was one of the worst in the NBA. As in '84, they won 27 games, 83-28, 82-34, 81-45, kind of impressive, 80-30, and 79-31. That Bulls team MJ went to had one winning season in the previous 7 years, and hadn't won over 50 games since 1974, over a decade prior. And Isiah Thomas in that clip said Jordan, his Bulls teams, they're finishing 3rd, 4th, dead last in the division, and were a first-round exit for the 1980s. Again, Isiah kind of getting lost in NBA history, as the Bulls in '88 made the second round, and '89 made the Eastern Conference Finals. And Jordan at that point, he was only in his 5th year making the East Finals. And that Bulls team, yeah, they were a 6th seed, but still made a deep playoff run that was highly impressive. And to contrast that with Isiah Thomas, holding him to his own standard, Isiah by his 5th year had missed the playoffs twice and had a total of 1 playoff series win. Now look, Isiah Thomas in my view is the 3rd best point guard in NBA history, behind Steph and Magic. And I think it's kind of stupid on a lot of fans' part to judge these players on their early careers, especially the guys who went to bottom-feeding and crappy teams. And what Isiah is doing to Jordan, he's judging him before he was even 25 years old at his absolute prime with a good supporting cast. That's not how I rank players, how I evaluate players, or see how great they were at their best. As Isiah at his best, the 2-time champion, made 3 straight finals, and the 2nd best point guard of the 1980s. And just like for Jordan, adding that context, the Detroit team Isiah went to had no prestige, no history, really no nothing. As in '81, they won 21 games, 80-16, 79-30, and 78, only 38. What Isiah Thomas did for the Pistons, in a lesser degree is what Jordan did for the Bulls. He took a team and a franchise that had never won anything and made them a perennial champion that won multiple rings. And looking at Isiah's #1 player in NBA history, his so-called GOAT, he didn't win his first championship till his 9th season by forming a super team, compared to Jordan, who won his first title in his 7th year with the team that drafted him. Again, Isiah's standard for Jordan indirectly proves Mike is the GOAT, because by applying Isiah's critiques of Jordan to LeBron James, it makes Jordan look even better. Now, looking at Isiah Thomas as the player, the NBA champion, one of the best point guards of all time, what I'm kind of concerned about is younger fans only seeing Isiah Thomas as the bitter old point guard obsessed with Jordan. Because look, Isiah Thomas, in my view, is one of the more underrated players in NBA history. As many don't know, Isiah Thomas sacrificed his own game, his stats, his points, his assists, to win championships. And sadly, 20 years from now, 25, 30, Isiah's overall legacy might be tarnished by his hatred of Michael Jordan. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.